When you begin to grow in life, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, you will encounter moments where people challenge your peace. Some do it directly, others do it in subtle, almost invisible ways. But one of the most important lessons in maturity is learning that not every action deserves a reaction. There is a level of self-control that refuses to invest energy where it is wasted. You see, reacting is easy. Anyone can react. Anyone can respond to an insult. Anyone can try to prove their point, defend their name, or fight back to show they are right. But there is a higher road, a place where your peace is more important than your pride. Cutting someone off silently is not an act of ego. It is protection. It is preservation. It is understanding that not everyone deserves access to your spirit. There are people who drain you, people who distract you, people who make you question your own value. And if you're not careful, you will find yourself fighting battles that were never meant to be fought. You must understand something. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. When you cut someone off without noise, without drama, without any announcement, you are taking control of your space again. You are saying, I don't owe you an explanation for choosing peace. And truly you don't. Many of us were trained to keep people around out of loyalty, history, or emotional debt. But that is dangerous. Loyalty to dysfunction is still dysfunction. History without honor is still bondage. An emotional debt keeps you stuck in places you've outgrown. You can love people and still decide they don't belong in your future. That is not disloyalty. That is wisdom. Every time you react to someone's negativity, you are pouring energy into them. Every time you try to convince someone of your worth, you are handing over your power. And every time you let someone trigger your anger, you are stepping off your throne to wrestle in the mud. You weren't born for that. You were born to rule over your own mind and guard your own soul. Cut them off silently, not to punish them, but to preserve you. The people who truly value you will feel your absence. The people who never valued you will never notice. And that's exactly how you know who belongs and who doesn't. Stop seeking closure from those who benefit from your confusion. Stop expecting apologies from those who don't have the capacity to see their own faults. Walk away without noise. Detach without bitterness. Release without advertisement. And don't make it a public event. Growth doesn't need applause. Healing doesn't need witnesses. Understand that the highest form of strength is stillness. When a lion walks away from barking dogs, it doesn't stop being a lion. It simply knows its identity is too powerful to be proven in small arguments. That's who you are. And the moment you embrace that, you stop reacting and you start choosing. Choose peace even when chaos tries to invite you. Choose silence even when drama begs for your stage. Choose distance even when history begs for your return. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. You don't have to defend your heart anymore. Those who are meant for you will protect your name in rooms you never entered. Those who are not meant for you will twist your words even when you're silent. So keep your peace sacred. Walk away quietly. Detach gently. Move on gracefully. Let people wonder where you went. Let them feel the shift. And let your absence speak the words your mouth no longer has to say. Silence is a form of strength. It protects your energy from unnecessary conflict. In a world where everyone is quick to speak, quick to defend themselves, and quick to react instantly, silence can feel like the opposite of power. But there are moments in life when silence is the most powerful answer you can give. When someone disrespects you, when someone tries to provoke you, when someone speaks out of ignorance or anger, your silence does not mean you are weak. It means you have risen above the need to explain your worth to someone who may not even be listening. Silence is not passive. It is intentional. It is a decision to conserve your energy for things that truly matter. Not every battle deserves your weapons. Not every insult deserves your reaction. When your peace becomes your priority, you begin to see silence as a shield. You begin to recognize that reacting to every negative word or toxic behavior is a form of self-sabotage. You are feeding the very thing that tries to steal your calm. Silence protects your energy because it stops the transfer of negativity into your spirit. Words carry power, both those you hear and those you speak. If someone throws negativity at you and you respond with the same energy, now the negativity lives in you. It drains you, occupies your mind, and steals your focus. But if you remain silent, you block it. You refuse to let it enter. You leave it where it came from. Silence becomes a boundary. It says, I will not participate in this chaos. I will not let you pull me into your storm. That is strength. It takes discipline to stay calm when your pride wants to defend itself. It takes maturity to stay quiet when your ego wants to prove a point. That is why silence is not for the weak. It is for those who have mastered themselves. People who are loud and reactive might appear strong. They might appear bold. But anyone can be loud. Anyone can lash out. True strength is having the power to respond, but choosing not to for the sake of your own peace. Silence requires self-control, and self-control is a muscle of the spirit. Protecting your energy also means recognizing the cost of reacting. Every time you react, you invest something, your time, your peace, your emotional balance. Ask yourself if the person or situation is worth that investment. Most of the time, the answer is no. Some people argue simply to feel powerful. Some people provoke you because your reaction gives them a sense of importance. By staying silent, you deny them that power. You refuse to give them what they want. You keep your energy for your purpose, your growth, your dreams. There are people who live off drama the way plants live off sunlight. If you give them attention, they grow. If you give them silence, they shrink. That is why silence is one of the greatest forms of protection. You are not ignoring reality. You are choosing which reality deserves your attention. Silence is also a teacher. It teaches you to observe more and speak less. When you are silent, you hear what others miss. You notice the motives behind words. You see the games people play. You become more aware of who deserves your presence and who only wants your attention. This awareness protects your energy because it helps you avoid traps before they even open. Many conflicts could be avoided if people practice silence long enough to understand the real issue. Instead, they react quickly, speak too soon, and regret later. But the one who stays silent sees more clearly. They see that some arguments are designed to distract them, shift their focus, or lower their frequency. Silence helps you stay focused on your path. It keeps your mind clear and your spirit undisturbed. Silence is also a powerful response in moments of injustice. Some people think if you don't speak up, you don't care. But there is a difference between silence that comes from fear and silence that comes from confidence. When you know who you are and what you stand for, you don't need to shout. Your actions speak louder than any reaction. Your peace speaks louder than their chaos. You simply step back, protect your energy, and let the truth reveal itself in time. People will eventually see the difference between noise and substance. They will see who stayed calm, who remained grounded, who kept their dignity. That is the hidden strength of silence. It also protects your energy by giving you space to reflect. Reaction is immediate and emotional. Silence gives you time to process what happened, evaluate if it even deserves a response, and decide how to move forward without regret. It's like a pause button for your soul. In the quiet, you gain wisdom. You realize some people are not attacking you because of who you are, but because of what they are dealing with inside. Their anger is not about you. Their bitterness is not about you. Once you see that, you stop reacting. You guard your energy like a treasure because you understand how easily it can be drained by unnecessary conflict. Reaction steals your peace. Silence protects it. Not everyone deserves access to your peace. Walking away quietly is wisdom, not cruelty. There are moments in life when the greatest gift you can give yourself is distance. Distance from tension, from manipulation, from people who drain you without remorse. Many people assume that walking away is a harsh decision, a lack of compassion, or a sign of giving up too soon. But in truth, it is often a sign of discernment. You can love someone and still recognize that their presence interrupts your inner balance. You can care about someone and still understand that the relationship has become a source of distraction rather than growth. Your peace is not a luxury, it is a necessity. And protecting it is not selfishness, it is wisdom. The people who disturb your peace do not always do it with loud aggression. Sometimes they do it subtly through constant complaints, negativity, comparison, emotional manipulation, or the expectation that you must consistently rescue them from their own chaos. If you allow everyone the same level of access to your mind, you will find yourself losing focus, losing clarity, and losing your sense of joy. Peace is not just the absence of conflict, it is the presence of clarity, the ability to breathe without tension, to rest without fear, and to move without emotional heaviness. Not everyone should be allowed to step into that sacred space. When someone keeps bringing confusion or drama, you do not owe them continued access simply because of history, family ties, or guilt. Walking away quietly is often the best option because explanation is wasted on those who are not willing to change. You can exhaust yourself trying to make someone understand how their behavior affects you, how their words hurt you, how their presence drains you. But if they don't want to acknowledge it, they won't. Wisdom recognizes that after a certain point, words lose their value and distance becomes your answer. You don't need to announce your departure or justify your decision. True wisdom moves in silence. You simply remove yourself from the equation out of love for your own well-being. That is not cruelty. That is maturity. Cruelty is allowing someone to continue damaging your peace when you already know they won't change. Cruelty is lying to yourself that you can handle it just to keep them comfortable. People will often say that you are being cold or distant. They might even try to accuse you of being heartless. But you do not need to react to that either, because only you know how much turmoil you had to endure silently before making the choice to walk away. People judge what they do not feel. They judge your boundaries because they benefited from your lack of boundaries for so long. When you finally choose peace over people pleasing, those who benefited from your compliance will call it selfish. Let them talk. Wisdom doesn't explain itself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Silence and distance are your quiet response. Let them label it as cruelty if they wish. Time will always reveal your intention, even if they don't accept it. You deserve relationships that support your peace, not challenge it consistently. You deserve conversations that leave you feeling inspired, not drained. You deserve environments that honor your mental clarity, not constantly test it. Some people grow up never learning how to appreciate calmness because drama has become their normal environment. So when they meet someone who values peace, they mistake it for arrogance or emotional detachment. You cannot let that disturb you. You must keep protecting your peace, knowing that it is the foundation of clear thinking, good decisions, and a healthy spirit. When your mind is clouded by constant negativity or emotional turbulence, you cannot create, you cannot grow, you cannot bring your vision to life. Peace is the soil where your purpose grows. Walking away quietly does not mean shutting out the world forever. It means recognizing which spaces nurture you and which spaces deplete you. If a space is no longer safe for your heart, no longer encouraging your progress, and no longer aligned with your values, wisdom tells you to step back. You don't have to slam the door. You don't have to leave with anger. You can simply walk away with grace. Let silence speak for you. Let your absence communicate what your words could not. People will eventually notice the difference between your presence and your absence. And the ones who truly respect your peace will either change or release you with understanding. Choosing peace is sometimes the loneliest decision because it means leaving behind familiar chaos. But it is the decision that elevates your life. In that silence, your mind heals. In that distance, your heart regains strength. And in that peace, you begin to remember who you are without the noise. Not everyone deserves access to that sacred space. Wisdom understands that sometimes the greatest act of love for yourself is a quiet goodbye. Cutting people off silently is not revenge. It's self-respect and emotional maturity. There was a time when you may have felt the need to make a loud exit to tell someone everything they did wrong, to make sure they felt the weight of what they put you through. But growth teaches you that your peace is too precious to waste on explanations to someone committed to misunderstanding you. Cutting them off silently doesn't mean you're bitter or trying to hurt them. It simply means you have reached a place where preserving your well-being is more important than being right or being heard. When someone consistently shows disregard for your boundaries, your kindness, your time, or your emotional health, the most mature response is to quietly step back and protect your space. Self-respect is knowing that you deserve to be treated with dignity. It is recognizing when someone refuses to meet the basic standard of respect that healthy relationships require. You no longer chase after validation from people who continually ignore your needs. You no longer stay in conversations that leave you feeling smaller or confused. Self-respect speaks loudly even in silence. Cutting someone off without a scene is a form of inner honor. You are honoring your growth. You are honoring your limits. You are honoring your emotional health. Some people confuse this with cruelty, but it is actually a sign of inner healing. When you were broken, you tolerated more than you should have. When you were insecure, you allowed people to take advantage of your willingness to give. But maturity changes that. You start to choose yourself, and that choice requires quiet exits. Emotional maturity is the discipline to respond in ways that protect your spirit. It is not about giving silent treatment to punish someone. It is about choosing silence when words no longer build bridges. The difference is intent. Emotional maturity does not seek revenge. Revenge says, I want you to suffer the way you made me suffer. But maturity says, I refuse to let your behavior continue to harm me. One is rooted in anger, the other is rooted in wisdom. You can walk away without bitterness. You can let go without resentment. You can disconnect without chaos. This is not revenge. It is self-awareness and respect. You recognize that some connections have expired, some conversations are no longer healthy, and some access must be revoked. There are moments when cutting someone off silently feels like the only way to regain your strength. You have tried to communicate, but your voice was dismissed. You have tried to set boundaries, but they were ignored. You have tried to forgive, but the pattern continued. Emotional maturity teaches you that your responsibility is not to fix people who do not see a problem in their behavior. Your responsibility is to choose environments where your heart can grow. Cutting someone off does not need a dramatic explanation. If you know the relationship has become toxic or stagnant, you are free to walk away quietly. That quietness is not meant to harm them. It is meant to protect you. It is the sound of reclaiming your power. When you cut someone off silently, you give yourself room to heal. You allow space for your mind to reset without being pulled back into cycles of dysfunction. You begin to hear your own thoughts again without the noise of their criticism or manipulation. People might question why you disappeared. They might try to pull you back in with guilt or confusion. But you don't owe everyone closure. Emotional maturity understands that closure is not always a conversation. Sometimes it is a decision you make within yourself. You accept that the season is over and you move forward. This is not revenge. Revenge would want to see them fail. Revenge would hope they suffer. But maturity simply wants peace and distance. Self-respect involves understanding that your time and energy are valuable. You no longer give them to people who do not appreciate them. You no longer sacrifice your emotional health to keep someone comfortable. There is no anger in your silence, only clarity. There is no malice in your stepping away, only a desire to protect what is sacred within you. Cutting someone off silently is a gentle affirmation to yourself, I deserve better than chaos. I deserve better than confusion. I deserve honesty, respect, and peace. And if someone cannot offer that, I will not keep offering my presence in hopes they will change. Emotional maturity also recognizes that not everyone is meant to stay in your story forever. Some people are temporary lessons. Once the lesson is learned, you release them. There is no need to announce it. There is no need to cause a scene. You simply stop engaging and allow the connection to dissolve quietly. In that silence, you find strength. In that withdrawal, you find clarity. In that quiet separation, you find who you are without their influence. Cutting people off silently is not revenge. It is choosing to evolve without disturbance. Those who truly value you will feel your absence more than your words. There is a silent power in removing yourself from spaces where you are ignored, taken for granted, or undervalued. Many people rely on your constant presence, your willingness to help, your patience, and your support, so much so that they grow accustomed to it and begin to expect it without appreciation. They assume you will always be available to listen, to comfort, to fix, to forgive. They may even overlook your needs because they have placed you in a role in their lives that benefits them, not realizing that your presence is a gift and not an obligation. But the moment you quietly step back, suddenly the space you used to fill becomes noticeable. This is where real awareness begins. Words can be dismissed, arguments can be debated, but absence cannot be ignored. People often try to defend themselves when confronted verbally. They find excuses, justify their behavior, or argue their intentions. But the absence of someone who brought stability speaks louder than any confrontation. When you are no longer there to respond to their calls, remind them of meetings, encourage them in hard times, or stay up listening to their problems, that void becomes a teacher. It teaches them the value of what they had but never truly acknowledged. Not everyone will understand it in the beginning. Some might react with anger, confusion, or denial. They might blame you for walking away, but with time, your absence becomes more powerful than any speech you could have given. It forces them to reflect on what your presence really meant. Value is often seen more clearly when it is no longer accessible. You may have given your love, time, advice, or consistency so freely that people became numb to it. They believed it was normal, that you would always be there regardless of how they treated you. Words often failed to make them see it. You may have tried to express your feelings, explain how their actions hurt, or share the burden you carried alone. But at some point, you realize that your words are falling on deaf ears. So you choose silence and distance. And slowly, they begin to feel a shift. They notice the lack of your presence in their routine. They feel the empty space where your voice once brought comfort. And only then do they start to understand the weight of your presence. Your absence reveals the depth of your value to those who were blind to it when you were around. When someone truly values you, they will feel that absence not just as a missing person, but as a missing source of peace, encouragement, truth, or love. They will realize that what you brought to their life was not ordinary. Some may come to this realization too late. Others may wake up in time to change. But regardless of their response, your silence taught a lesson your words never could. Walking away doesn't always hurt them immediately, but eventually, when they face moments where they wish you were there, it dawns on them why losing your presence is far more painful than losing an argument. True value is not proven by how loudly you defend yourself. It is proven in how deeply you are missed when you are gone. When people feel your absence, it forces them to self-reflect. They begin to ask themselves if they gave you the respect you deserved or if they took you for granted. They remember the times you supported them without asking for anything in return. They recall how your presence made difficult moments easier and joyful moments more meaningful. Silence is the canvas that reflects the image of your worth in their memory. You no longer need to insist on being seen, because the empty space you leave behind speaks for you. Distance becomes a mirror for them to see the value they ignored. This is not about making someone suffer or trying to manipulate them emotionally. It's about honoring your worth enough to no longer fight for a place in someone's priority list. It's about realizing that those who truly value you shouldn't need repeated reminders of your importance. When you finally step back and preserve your peace, your absence becomes the message. And that message leaves a deeper impression than any confrontation ever could. Those who genuinely cared will feel it in their heart, not just in their mind, and they will move differently if given another chance. And if they do not feel it, it is a clear sign that your absence did not remove value from their life, which means your continued presence was never appreciated to begin with. Protecting your soul sometimes means letting go without explanation or announcement. There comes a point in life where you realize that your inner well-being is more important than any attachment that threatens it. Your soul is the deepest part of who you are. Your peace, your purpose, your values, your faith, and your emotional health. When people or environments begin to poison that space, even subtly, something inside you knows it's time to step away. You don't need to gather everyone to explain why. You don't need to make a public declaration. You simply allow distance to become your shield. You understand that some departures are sacred. There is no need to make noise about them because the decision was not made for attention. It was made for survival of the soul. There are relationships and situations that slowly erode your inner strength. At first, you tolerate it, believing you can handle it, believing they will change, believing it's just a phase. But over time, your soul feels the weight. You may feel drained after every interaction. You may feel anxious around certain people or overwhelmed by certain atmospheres that once felt normal. That is your inner self telling you it can no longer carry what it used to. Some people keep trying to fix external problems without realizing their soul is being damaged internally. Protecting your soul means acknowledging when a connection is no longer mutual, when a pattern of disrespect continues, or when you feel you must shrink yourself just to maintain peace. Instead of reacting loudly or begging them to understand, you simply let go, quietly, gently, but firmly. Letting go without explanation is not about avoiding responsibility. It's about understanding that not everyone will comprehend your boundaries. You can pour your heart out trying to make someone see your pain, but if they are not ready to understand, your words become exhausting echoes. Protecting your soul means choosing peace over persuasion. You do not need their permission to leave. You do not need their agreement to create distance. At times, explanation becomes another doorway for them to manipulate your emotions or dismiss your feelings. So you close that door and walk away in silence. Silence becomes the proof that you no longer seek validation from them. Your soul deserves a space where it can breathe, heal, and grow without constantly defending its right to exist. We live in a world that often celebrates loud exits, dramatic confrontations, and public statements of disapproval. But there is a higher way, a quieter, more dignified path. It involves protecting your soul by quietly stepping out of circles that no longer fit your spirit, moving away from conversations that disturb your values, and releasing attachments that no longer align with your growth. You may still love them, still wish them well, still pray for them, but from a distance. That kind of letting go is the most mature form of self-care. It's deeper than avoidance. It is preservation. You are preserving the purity of your heart so it is not hardened by constant disappointment. You are preserving your mind so it does not become consumed with cycles of conflict. You are preserving your purpose so it does not get buried under the weight of trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. Letting go without announcement also honors your own journey. Not everything needs to be shared or explained. Your healing is personal. Your decisions are personal. Your soul's needs are personal. People may wonder why you became distant, why you stopped responding, why you changed the direction of your life, and you don't owe them a detailed explanation. Protecting your soul sometimes means maintaining silence even when they demand answers. You know that giving them answers will only open the door to more chaos. So instead, you keep your peace private. Some will understand by your silence, others never will, and that is all right. Your soul is not a public property that requires community approval to stay whole. At times, letting go quietly is the most powerful statement you can make. You are declaring that your soul has value, that you refuse to stay where it is not respected or nourished. You are declaring that your peace matters more than being liked or understood. You are declaring that your life will no longer be a playground for confusion, disrespect, or emotional exhaustion. It's a silent declaration made not with your mouth, but with your feet. You walk away from the table and decide not to return. And the absence speaks what words never could. You preserve your soul not by fighting every battle, but by avoiding the ones that leave you wounded every time. You allow your distance to become the boundary, your silence to become the message.